Now we will be discussing about the types of counseling. How many types are there to counsel a subject, to counsel a client? Usually, it is found that there are three categories of counseling. Means three types of counselings are there. Like one is directive counseling, second non-directive, and third eclective. These are three categories, three techniques you can say, which are used in counseling process. Let us focus on each. Directive. Directive means when you are giving direction to the client. Means client is receiving direction from the counselor. It is very unusual situation sometimes, but it has to be done, especially when you are to impart some information, when you are to give some specific technical information which is required by the counselor. In that particular situation, directive counseling is required. You can say it is just like suggestion, because the client is accepting it because of the need of the client. That's why we use the word counseling. Otherwise, it's not like a counseling. It is not focusing on realization. If you don't realize the extent of the problem and solution, then it is not counseling. Still, it has some utility, and we find it as a part of other counseling. Let us see how. Second is non-directive counseling. Here the counselor is not directing the client, rather creating an environment of friendly warmth and facilitation in which client opens up, understand the scenario, understand his potentials, understand what are the possible options available there, and then realize what can be the possible solution. In this process, client is asked to speak, to explore, to communicate more than the counselor. And counselor is giving feedback to the client. Sometimes counselor is also reinforcing the information in the process. When you reinforce the information, that becomes directive. It means directive here, it becomes part of non-directive technique. But it is in small quantity, quantum is very less. This is non-directive. It is focused on the client. And the directive is focusing more on the counselor. And the third is eclective. Eclective means choosing the technique as per need of the process, as per need of the client. Then what are we doing earlier? In non-directive technique also we are doing the same thing. We are using non-directive overall, and we are using somewhere in between directive as well when we are reinforcing some information, when we are giving some inputs. That is non-directive. It means there is nothing like a technique like eclective. It's just a name when both of the techniques are used together. So we can say there are two broad categories, directive and non-directive, and eclective is mixture of both of the techniques.